Chapter 80 Player Personnel. The main objectives of people in the player personnel field are they're responsible for finding and putting together the talent the consumer sees on the field of play. So, whether that be the 12 guys on an NBA basketball team or a 40-man roster for Major League Baseball, they're pretty much um, the most seen people in the sports and management field for professional sports teams because when people aren't happy with the players on their team, they generally look at people in the player personnel. Um, Duties include, but are not limited to, managing the spending on players in accordance with salary caps in different leagues, finding and scouting the talent, and monitoring player development. Compensation levels are quite different on different levels. Entry level are 30 to 35,000, as well as a lot of unpaid internships. Once you get up to manager level, you start making a little better living, 50,000 to 70,000. Director level, 90,000 to 125,000, and executives make 150,000 upwards of multi-million uh, for each year. I have a couple career paths of people that are pretty much at the top of the field now. Ryan Pace is the current general manager of the Chicago Bears. He attended Eastern Illinois. He got a marketing degree there. He was also a 4 year player on their football team and was a captain. Um, you'll see that a lot with general managers that have playing experience at a high level, a lot of which even have playing experience in the league. While Ryan Pace didn't play in the NFL, he did play at a Division I level at Eastern Illinois. His first job out of college was the operations assistant. That was with the New Orleans Saints. He then moved on to a scouting assistant for 2002 to 2003 and moved on up to the professional personnel scout from 2007 to 2012. After that, you can see he was the director of player personnel for the entire New Orleans Saints team until 2014, where he left the New Orleans Saints and became the general manager for the Chicago Bears, and that's still where he is today. Theo Epstein is another person at the height of pretty much the player personnel category of sports management. He was actually selected as the Forbes Leader of the Year in 2016, but he didn't have any playing experience probably after high school. He did go to Yale for his undergraduate degree, and then while he was interning with the Baltimore Orioles and working in public relations with the Padres, he actually finished law school at the University of San Diego. After the stint with the Padres, he moved into the assistant in baseball operations for them after graduation. Quickly moved on to be the director of baseball operations, and then he was named the youngest Major League Baseball general manager of all time at age 28 in 2002. He's pretty famous for ending the curse of the Boston Red Sox in 2004 when they won their first World Series in 80-something years, and then actually changed to the president of baseball operations for the Chicago Cubs in 2011, where he ended another curse of in 2016 when they won the World Series and for the first time in 108 years. So I'm going to go through a couple different jobs in the player personnel field. Kind of start from the bottom, work our way towards the top. So first we have baseball operations and internship. This would be likely unpaid, possibly with a monthly stipend, but very low paying. It's part-time, 15 to 20 hours a week, watching film and tracking player performance. They recommend that you have playing or coaching experience in whatever sport that your internship is in. as well as a basic knowledge of Microsoft Office. So this is a pretty low level job. You basically be breaking down film um, and recording it probably on Microsoft Excel, and then kind of communicating that with the higher ups. Uh, I'm the reason they want playing or coaching experience is just because, say it's football, you need to have a understanding of the game, maybe blocking assignments, or with baseball here, I'd be assuming they would be looking for tip-offs or what to see what an opposing pitcher is doing or what players in their own team are doing wrong. So next we have the MLB Area Scout. This would be more of a full-time position, typically paying at least $40,000 per year. You'd maintain a 50-player draft-eligible list, so you'd be traveling around searching for potential professionals to put together a draft board. You'd have to keep scouting reports on all the eligible players you look at, understand their makeups, whether or not they're going to be a good pro. If you're traveling a lot, you're going to have to maintain an effective travel schedule and stay efficient so you can get around and not waste a lot of time because it gets very frantic before these player drafts. And you have to understand a player's market value and kind of put an overall potential draft round on them to help the people who are making those decisions be more informed. Next is MLB Director of Player Development. This is quite the jump up from Area Scout. So it recommends 5 to 10 years of experience. But according to Chapter 80 and the article I'm referencing, a lot of teams, especially in Major League Baseball, are leaning towards more business-oriented, younger, kind of analytics-based scouts and directors of player development all the way up to GM. But your salary goes up quite a bit to around the 100,000 to 150,000 range. You develop and oversee development of training of the players in your farm system. You sign the players to whether it be high A, low A, triple A, or even major league rosters. Kind of pick where they need to be in their development. Implement organizational strategies and operational philosophies. So typically teams want to start teaching what they want their major league ball players to do all the way down in the minor leagues. So you would be in charge of implementing those philosophies. You would coordinate player moves between levels from low A to high A and triple A all the way up to the major leagues. And you report to the GM, and of course you have to manage your player development budgets. MLB Assistant General Manager. So they recommend 7 to 10 years of experience. Salary goes up again with 150,000 to about 300,000 typically. You're going to assist and work directly with the GM in all facets of baseball operations. So that's going to be the obvious things like player acquisitions and contract negotiations. But it's also going to be things like responding to the media, talking to beat reporters, overseeing the scouts and player development directors, as well as pretty much overseeing all the positions under the general manager because he's only one guy. He needs help in doing all that. And then you have the MLB Major League Baseball general managers. These salaries vary a lot depending on the team and kind of the size of the market. For example, I know Theo Epstein signed a 5-year, $18 million contract in 2011. But their main job is to create and manage the 40-man roster, manage players' salary budget, respond to the media. They hire and manage all front office personnel, and they have to interact with the players, coaches, scouts, and the media. Um, they either report to the president of baseball operations, but in a lot of cases, the general manager and president of baseball operations are the same person. So then they would actually report directly to the owner or a board of directors.